All right, let's talk about our 4th through 6th grade literature program. This is a program I put a lot of time and effort into, and it is based on years of research that I have done and experiences that I've had as a teacher in a classroom, as a student, as a homeschool parent. And so hopefully this provides you with just what you need to educate your kids in this family-centered, school-supported environment. When you are added to the course, once again, there are two options. There's independent and enrolled. So we'll look at the independent first and then look at what the enrolled program gets you. So you'll have a page here. It lists all of the books that you will be studying. There's a print and an audio option. So functionally in our brains, there's actually no difference between what happens when we read a book versus listen to a book. So it's totally okay to let your kids listen to a book. Sometimes you do want to be reinforcing those reading skills, but it's okay to let them listen to an audiobook or listen and read along, or for you to read aloud to them. Any of those things are fine. So then getting into the modules, you'll see, just like many of our other courses, we have the course objectives and the enrichment activities. And then if you looked at our 2nd and 3rd grade program, you'll see a lot of similarities between this program and that program. So once again, each book study takes 4 weeks, and each week has an introduction and an overview, ponder a passage, dive into discussion, and create connection. So let's take a look at Because of Winn-Dixie. So it starts off with a video introduction by me, and then a weekly list of things to do. That list will be similar from week to week. What will change is the list of chapters you're reading. So the first thing that happens each week after you read the chapters is you ponder a passage. And really, this is the opportunity to explore the craft of writing without the pressure to create something in the process. When we separate those two things out, kids actually achieve more. So if we have them write creatively, but then also look at grammar and mechanics, but do those separately at first, kids find a love for writing. They understand the structures, and then they can then apply it to their own writing. And it doesn't drive them away from the craft of writing. Instead, it makes them interested and invested. This is a program, this is a compilation of philosophies that I have researched for many, many years and employed with my own children. My 14-year-old daughter loves to write, as does my 12-year-old son. My 14-year-old in particular is a published author and just really finds joy and retreat in writing. And my son is not far behind her, even though he is both dyslexic and dysgraphic. And so there's really this benefit to studying the works of great writers, learning how they write, imitating that writing, and then writing creatively in a separate space. Okay, so to start out with, there's usually some instruction on whatever it is that we're going to be studying over the semester, or I'm sorry, over the course of this book. And then there are some discussion questions for you and your child to discuss together. You will notice that there are a lot of questions. Please treat this like a buffet. Do not try to answer all of the questions. In fact, if you don't answer any of the questions, that's fine. Sit down over a cup of lemonade or a plate of cookies or a project that you're working on together. Like maybe you're building something together. Sit down and work on talking about this and the big ideas in this story together. Don't make it long. Like 10 minutes a week might be plenty. Or just a few minutes a day, maybe while you're doing dishes. And then you'll also notice that there are some extra videos occasionally in there that help make connections to other things or teach other lessons. Then the last thing each week is create a connection. When I developed this, I tried to come up with a variety of things that you might want to do to create connections. So there's family history connections, there's art, there's science, there's math, there's cooking, there's drawing, there's writing, there's building and designing. All of these things will come together to help your child connect to what they're reading in very real ways. So here we have a family history assignment, something about Newbery Awards, because a lot of our books are Newbery Award books this year, and then a create your own activity. Your child chooses one, not all of them, unless they really are interested or you really want them to, but they choose one. And they always have the option to create their own activity. So if they are in the independent program, then they're going to talk with you, the parent, about what activity they want to do, and you'll come up with a plan. If they're in the enrolled program, then they're going to talk with their mentor and come up with a plan. So week 2 is very, very similar. You'll see that the chapters are different, but everything else is pretty much the same. In the Ponder a Passage this week, we're actually going to look at a passage that's really well written from Kate DiCamillo in the book. And so you'll see that and some directions that will help to get through that. Once again, you have your discussions that you're going to do. There's also, this one also includes a lesson on simile, because Kate DiCamillo uses similes often in her stories. And then a create connection. So this one has a gospel connection about not judging people. There's an art opportunity here. And then once again, create your own. And you'll see that all of our weeks kind of follow that same pattern. And so you and your child can decide how you want to put this together for each week. But you'll see some really great instruction throughout. The questions are certainly comprehensive in nature. So what are you reading? Do you understand what you're reading? But then also, how can you connect that to your life, or how can you think more deeply about this topic? So you'll see there's lots of different kinds of things that your children are doing with the create connection. At the end of each unit, there is also optional activities. So there's always a book club. And so if you are doing this independently, you could certainly host a family book club or a neighborhood book club or co-op book club. If you're enrolled, we sponsor a book club for you. For our optional activities, there's often a movie night or a field trip or some other kind of activity that you can do to engage with this book together as a family, because really reading is about creating a culture in your home of the love of language and the love of the gospel. And so having opportunities to explore will only give your child a more full experience with what they're reading and help them to make broader connections. Okay, so how does the enrolled program differ? Let's take a look. Okay, so this is the enrolled program. You'll notice the first page is the same. Much of it looks the same. Okay, the difference comes in the submission. Okay, so you have places where you are submitting work for your mentor to review. So each week you'll submit, where applicable, a ponder a passage and a create connection. When you submit that, you will get then feedback from your mentor, very committed, caring feedback that will help your child to think, to connect, to apply the gospel, and then to dig deeper next time, to ask more questions. And then at the end of the fourth week, there's also an opportunity to meet with a mentor. So your child will let will let his or her mentor know that he is finished and ready to meet. The mentor and your child will hop on a Zoom and they will talk about the book, and they'll talk about what they learned in the activities that they did as a result of reading this book. So, so much opportunity. Additionally, your enrolled students are going to have access to not just the book club, but all of the clubs that we offer for their age group. So Adventurers Club, which goes with our unit study, Poetry Club, which is where we play with words, Code Club, which is where we learn to code and build games in different programs, Book Club, which is the one that goes directly with this program, and Art Club, which is taught by a wonderful artist who's also one of our mentors. So you can see that the enrolled program does add quite a bit of value and a lot of support for you with a mentor. This is really a great program. And I'm not just saying that because I'm in the school, but really this is the program that I have been building with my kids for the last 14 years. And it's based on solid principles, not just of academic instruction, but also of the gospel of Jesus Christ. I would love to answer your questions. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. I am here to support you, the parent, in educating your kids.